Hey there guys, welcome to a special episode of mine, My Favorite Games Part 2. And I hope you've been enjoying my list so far, and if you haven't, then screw you. But if you haven't, then leave a comment, please, telling me your opinions, and just leave a comment telling me your opinions of the list. So we left off with number 8, so we'll get right to it. At number 8 we have Pokemon Colosseum for the Nintendo GameCube. When I got this game, I was just like, wow. Now this is the second Pokemon game I ever had after Pokemon Fire Red. And it was the first 3D Pokemon game that I owned. So seeing the Pokemon for the first time in 3D, I was blown away. Okay, there are all kinds of shadow Pokemon you could snag from other trainers. The story was good. If it had a darker tone to it, which is different than any other Pokemon game I've ever played. But it's not a bad thing at all, guys. It's awesome. And Pokemon XD, it expanded on that even more, in my opinion. But the reason this is higher up, I honestly can't even tell you. There's just something about Pokemon Colosseum that makes it stand out from XD. They're both excellent games, but Colosseum just deserves the higher spot, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's why it's up here, and it definitely deserves it. At number 7, we have Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which is the sequel to Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was further down on my list. And the reason this is over Melee is because it takes everything that was good about that game and expands on it. They up the graphics, and they added something called a Smash Ball, which basically just made it a bit more hardcore and a bit more complicated, a bit more strategic. But it's not too complicated for casual players like how I used to be, to pick it up and just play and have fun. And if you like Melee, you're going to love this game because most of the likable characters are back, and they add even more characters. And overall, this is the best one. And I can't tell you that I've played it as much as I've played Melee, because I haven't. But overall, I'd say I do have the most fun playing this one, just because it's just, I don't know, it's just an overall improvement. And it does deserve the spot on this list, and it's one of the best Wii games that I own. Coming in at number 6, we have Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation. The only PlayStation 1 game to be on my list. Final Fantasy VII is truly a masterpiece. Its story is awesome. The settings are awesome. The characters are awesome. The bosses are awesome. Everything in this game is so awesome that not only do people consider this to be the greatest game of all time, depending on your biases, but they made a movie based off this game. They don't make movies after games that often. Okay, movies after books are heard of, games after movies are heard of, but rarely do you ever have a movie based off a game. Not only that, but the movie was awesome. But that's not why this is on my list. This is on my list because it's a truly amazing game. It's memorable, and almost 15 years after its release, it's still very fun to play, and like no other game that I can think of off the top of my head can say that. With the exception of maybe Mario or something. But yeah, this would be higher up on my list if it had an online multiplayer. I'm just joking, but really, Red Dead Redemption got to 13 on story alone. This got to number 6 on story alone. So that's saying something. If you haven't played this game, you need to pick it up and play it. The first game in the top 5 is Pokemon Heart Gold version for the Nintendo DS. This game is truly spectacular. Okay, this may be the game that I've played the most of over anything else on this list. Now, why is it so good? Well, it really just caught me off guard. I bought this game expecting a better experience than Pokemon Diamond, though, that wasn't a bad experience, but I expected it to be a bit better. But what I got was something much more. It was truly, it just struck me. When I picked it up, I didn't put it down until I put over 300 hours into the game. And about 3 different times when I started over, I was doing all kinds of stuff. I was trading Pokemon over, starting over, redoing it with different starters. I was just doing all sorts of stuff. My best Pokemon come out of this game. And this game is probably where I had my peak with Pokemon, where I had the most fun. You don't have this game, pick it up. It's one of the most addicting games I've ever played. and maybe the game I've played the most of. So it definitely deserves to be on this list. And number 4, we have The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I'm sorry the picture in the background's, blurry and fuzzy, but, I can't really help that. But this is the first game I got with my Wii. Well, this and Elebids, which I never played. But this game was amazing. Okay, this was the first Zelda game that I actually got. And I loved it. The story was dark. I loved how you can change into a wolf form. Spoilers. And, I loved the villains. I loved the locations. I loved everything about it. I'll tell you how much I love this game. After playing it, I bought Twilight Princess for the Nintendo GameCube. I couldn't play it because, to be honest, it just was not as much fun to me as this game was. Beautiful graphics, beautiful characters, beautiful music. This was pretty much the perfect game. And the reason it's not higher on my list is because the rest of the games up here are simply, multiplayer-ish games that I've just, been able to find a lot of fun out of. I mean, if none of these games had a multiplayer, this one would win hands down. Definitely one of my favorite games. Definitely, in my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made. If you have a Wii, pick it up. Alright, at number 3 we have Battlefield Bad Company 2. And, what can I say about this game? It's the perfect shooter, pretty much. Well, I mean, just about. It's got vehicles, they're not even overpowered, really. You need to know how to use them for it to work. It's objective-based. Kills are a secondary thing. If you don't ever see anyone on your way to the MCOM stations in Rush, or, the flags in Conquest, you don't get any kills. That's how it is. The weapons have recoil. It has an epic feeling that I've never felt in any other shooter. Modern Warfare 2 is more epic than Black Ops. Bad Company 2 kills them both. Okay? I've had tons and tons of fun playing this game. It's balanced. It's, it's all fair. And I love it. It's fun. It's addicting. If Battlefield 3 already looks a lot better than Bad Company 2, and if it really is, then without a doubt that game's just gonna be, my game of choice until Battlefield 4 comes out. So this definitely deserves the number 3 spot. Just barely in second place, we have Pokemon White version from the Nintendo DS. This is the final Pokemon game on my list, I promise. Now, why is this number 2? Well, for one reason. It took what Heart Gold did right and expanded on it in so many ways, okay? And it's a new region and all that, but the Pokemon just crush everything Sinnoh had. Okay, I mentioned that, the Pokemon overall were okay in Diamond, but there were just, some of them were very weird looking. When I say some, I mean about 60% of them. And this one, even the weird looking Pokemon are likable. Okay? This is an awesome region. They got extremely creative, and they started using these 3D graphics. And you can do, this is the big deciding factor over Heart Gold though. Random Wi-Fi matches with no friend codes. If Heart Gold had that, then it would probably be ahead of this, but it didn't, so this is the one that wins. This one has some of my favorite Pokemon ever, like, I don't know how you pronounce it, Hydreigon, and like Oshawott, and, Samurott, and all those. And I could start just naming off Pokemon that I love from this game. It's awesome. This is definitely one of my top 3 regions, let alone, my favorite Pokemon game ever. And if they keep on making sequels that get better over time, then I can't even tell you how good the next Pokemon game is going to be. Definitely deserves the number 2 spot. And my number 1 favorite game currently my favorite game ever. And when I say my favorite game ever, I mean my favorite game ever. Okay, I may not mean ever, but right now, this minute, as I'm making this video, this is my number 1 favorite game, okay? Mind you, everything I say coming up is subject to change at any time, but the odds are it won't for a good while. So this game will definitely be on my favorite games list, probably for the rest of my video game career, because it's excellent and it's awesome. So yeah, here it is, my number 1 game. Mortal Kombat for the PlayStation 3. Now, I don't think I'll get too many boos because this is a very likable game and a lot of people like it. I'll tell you why I like it. Both of the Smash Brothers games are on my list, but they're not hardcore, okay? When I play Smash Brothers, I don't want to say I feel like a little kid per se, but I definitely feel innocent. With this game, you're ripping people's heads off, punching their faces in, doing all sorts of bad things to them, and it's awesome. Okay? There are about, I don't know how many characters, I'm just going to guess and say 30, you know, counting the DLCs. But like there are so many different possibilities for combos and stuff you can use for them that even the same character won't look the same, you know, being played by different people. They could be completely different, you know, play styles and stuff. The characters vary, they have special moves, the graphics are awesome, and it's just a stunning game. Backgrounds are great. Now I'm going to give you guys a little story here coming up. Alright, when I got Mod Nation Racers, it was my favorite game, but only for a few days. When I got this game, it became my favorite game. But it stood the test of time. It is still my favorite game after a month of owning it. And right now, it is my favorite. Okay, I've had it a good while, and it's still just as addicting as it was from day one. And that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed my special. If you didn't, again, then screw you. But really, don't get mad at me. Don't tell me my list sucks, because I'm sure to everyone else but me it probably does. But here's the deal. You guys really didn't hear details. I touched on each game for about a minute apiece. Like, for the last game, Mortal Kombat, I could go on and on and on and on about why I love that game so much. I could sit here and make, you know, an hour-long video just talking about all the individual things that I like. That's not just for Mortal Kombat, that's for Final Fantasy VII, for Twilight Princess, for Pokemon White, for, you know, Colosseum, for, go back to number 20, for Pokemon Diamond, for Star Fox Assault, for every single game on my list. They're on there for a reason, okay? I'm not gonna, and I just lightly touched on those reasons, you know, recently. So, in my opinion, these games rock. Are there better games than these out there? There probably are. But for me, these are the best of the best. This list is definitely subject to change, but I won't make a revised version unless, you know, it changes drastically, meaning at least I need at least 5 or 6 of them to be either booted or changed up. So like when Battlefield 3 comes out, that'll probably take at least my top, you know, 3 or 4 spot, if not, you know, even maybe number 1. But right now these games are ranked where they are, and again for a good reason. I've had many, many hours of enjoyment playing each and every one of these video games that's on this list. They all deserve to be there, and they've all been a big part of my childhood. So yeah, if you want to tell me your favorite game in the comments, then please do so. But don't tell me my list sucks, okay? That's my personal opinion. And like I said, I got many reasons as to why they're on the list. So with that being said, this is Blazer Forgotten, and I'll talk to you guys later.